Today, Ukraine attacked a missile and ammunition depot located just outside Russia's Naro-Fominsk. This resulted in an estimated $700 million in damages for Russia. In this video, we will detail the strategy of the attack and how it was successfully carried out. At 8:42 a.m., a major Russian offensive began at the Naro-Fominsk missile and ammunition depot. The operation's primary objective was to defend the vital missile reserve and disrupt a Ukrainian advance in the sector. The assault commenced with coordinated salvos from BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket systems positioned in adjacent tree lines. Simultaneously, T-90 and T-80 BVM main battle tanks emerged from hardened shelters to form an armored spearhead. This ground attack was immediately supported by a volley of Caliber cruise missiles launched from distant locations, converging on the depot's outer defensive ring. The strike was designed to overwhelm Ukrainian forward positions and establish a secure perimeter around the facility. The Ukrainian response was swift. Almost immediately after the initial Russian barrage, Ukrainian Air Force Su-27 and Su-24 strike aircraft were observed flying at treetop level across the depot's perimeter. Armed with precision-guided bombs, they targeted the Grad batteries concealed along the tree lines. The strikes successfully neutralized several launchers before they could complete their reload sequence, silencing a key component of the initial Russian assault. At 9:12 a.m., the Ukrainian ground counter-assault commenced, spearheaded by unmanned ground vehicles, UGVs. These combat robots, armed with belt-fed machine guns, advanced alongside squads of motorized infantry. Each UGV streamed live video to Ukrainian commanders positioned less than 2 miles from the front, providing critical real-time situational awareness. From concealed firing pits, Ukrainian mortar teams, using NATO standard 81mm and 120mm systems, initiated a suppressive fire barrage. This fire targeted Russian infantry positions, forcing soldiers from their foxholes and bunkers, which in turn disrupted their command structure. Mine-resistant ambush protected MRAP vehicles advanced along the flanks, disembarking rifle squads that employed bounding overwatch tactics. They advanced in short, 100-yard movements while covered by suppressive fire from other units. The engagement escalated quickly as Ukrainian air and ground elements synchronized their push. Within minutes, the depot's outer ring became a chaotic battle space of smoke, burning timber, and shattered asphalt, marking the start of a protracted and high-stakes engagement. The initial breach was a critical step in setting the stage for the eventual $700 million destruction. Although the initial Ukrainian thrust breached the Russian defensive line, the Russian forces had prepared a multifaceted counter. As Ukrainian drones hovered overhead to direct artillery, Russian electronic warfare (EW) vehicles, concealed in forested areas, activated powerful jamming systems. These systems flooded key frequencies, causing entire swarms of Ukrainian FPV drones to lose their command links. Some drones spiraled to the ground, while others vanished from control screens. These EW-induced blackouts created significant gaps in Ukraine's battlefield intelligence, leaving advancing units exposed. Exploiting the disruption, Russian infantry fighting vehicles surged forward, their cannons firing rapid bursts into the Ukrainian lines. Behind them, T-90 main battle tanks led a countercharge across the depot's northern approach. The clear objective was to split the Ukrainian spearhead before it could consolidate its gains. The ground shook as 125mm high-explosive shells from the T-90S impacted the Ukrainian front, tearing craters into the asphalt. Ukrainian MRAPs absorbed the brunt of this salvo, their reinforced hulls demonstrating considerable resilience against blasts that would have destroyed lighter vehicles. As machine gun fire impacted their armor, hatches opened and infantry squads dismounted to join the fight. Anti-armor teams equipped with shoulder-launched rockets moved with discipline, using debris for cover as they flanked Russian armor. One of the first rockets fired struck a T-90, engulfing it in flames and forcing the other tanks in its column to break formation. The engagement quickly devolved into close-quarters combat. The depot's narrow service roads, some no wider than 40 feet, created deadly choke points. Despite incoming Russian mortar fire, Ukrainian squads continued their disciplined 100-yard bounds under covering fire. The battlefield became a tangled landscape of smoke and wreckage. What began as a coordinated strike transformed into a contest of attrition. However, Ukraine's combined arms doctrine, integrating combat robots, infantry, and air power, slowly began to shift the battle's momentum in their favor. While the ground battle raged, the conflict escalated in the skies above Naro-Fominsk. Ukrainian Air Force Su-27 fighters, capable of speeds approaching 1,500 miles per hour, intercepted Russian jets scrambled from airbases near Moscow. The resulting air-to-air duels were immediate, with missiles and defensive flares crisscrossing the sky. At the same time, Ukraine expanded its aerial assault. Su-24 bombers flying at low altitudes launched anti-ship missiles that had been adapted for land attack roles, targeting hardened bunkers in the depot's command sector. The powerful warheads penetrated reinforced concrete, triggering shockwaves that rippled through nearby ammunition stores. In response, Russian Ka-52 Alligator attack helicopters entered the fray at low altitude. Their 30mm cannons strafed advancing Ukrainian formations, attempting to halt their progress. However, Ukrainian forces had anticipated this tactic. Swarms of drones rose from the horizon, forming a defensive screen. Some were explosive, while others were programmed for kinetic impact. As the Ka-52S began their attack runs, the drones intercepted them, either detonating in close proximity or ramming them directly. Several helicopters were downed, their destruction providing critical moments of respite for the Ukrainian troops below. The airspace over Naro-Fominsk had become a complex, multi-layered combat zone, where direct control of the skies was unequivocally tied to survival and operational success on the ground, ultimately contributing to the monumental $700 million loss. The engagement in the air provided a crucial window for Ukrainian ground commanders. With Russian gunships neutralized and key bunkers damaged, the next phase of the operation began: the push into the depot's interior. Combat engineering robots again took the lead, advancing under smoke screens to clear paths through the barbed wire and minefields. They carved narrow, safe lanes, creating corridors for an armored advance. Through these cleared openings, Ukrainian T-72 tanks surged forward in staggered columns, supported by a rolling artillery barrage that pounded suspected Russian positions 200 yards ahead of them. This advance was guided by drone spotters circling overhead, which fed live target coordinates to command centers located less than 3 miles behind the front line. This allowed for real-time adjustments to every maneuver. Behind the armor, infantry squads continued their 100-yard bounding movements, using the T-72S and battlefield wreckage for cover. The advance was shielded by the tanks and supported by heavy machine guns mounted on the Muraps. Whenever Russian counterfire emerged, drones would mark the position, and artillery would correct its fire within seconds to neutralize the threat. The Russian defenders fought from every piece of rubble, with infantry fighting vehicles and scattered T-80 BVM tanks attempting to stall the Ukrainian advance. However, the coordinated Ukrainian attack proved relentless. Shoulder-launched rockets neutralized isolated Russian vehicles, while drone swarms harassed crews attempting to regroup. The dynamic of the battle shifted from chaotic exchanges to a methodical squeeze as the Ukrainian noose tightened around the depot. As the Ukrainian assault breached the depot's core, artillery batteries shifted their fire. NATO Standard 81mm and 120mm mortars, along with longer-range rocket systems, unleashed precision salvos on the interior compounds, targeting fuel dumps and ammunition sheds. Soon after, secondary explosions began. One bunker after another ignited as flames reached stored munitions, sending fireballs hundreds of feet into the air. The resulting shockwaves shattered the remaining Russian defensive cohesion. Despite the catastrophic conditions, the defenders did not break. Reserve companies of T-80 BVM tanks and fresh infantry squads emerged from underground shelters to counterattack, leading to brutal, close-range duels inside the depot's narrow service roads. But every Russian countermove was met with a layered Ukrainian response. Drones identified enemy armor, relaying positions to artillery batteries that adjusted fire in real time. Ukrainian T-72S engaged targets at point-blank range, while RPG teams struck from ambush positions. The combination of persistent drone reconnaissance, precise artillery, and armored firepower systematically overwhelmed the defenders. In a final effort, the Russians launched another volley of Kaliber cruise missiles, attempting to deny the facility to the Ukrainians by destroying what remained of their own stockpiles. Ukrainian air defense units intercepted many of the incoming missiles, though a few broke through, adding to the destruction. On the ground, the fight became even more intimate. Small, torso-sized gun robots moved through the debris, providing suppressive fire that allowed infantry to advance on hidden Russian positions. During the battle, both sides agreed to short, unofficial pauses in the fighting. Medics used flags to signal these breaks, allowing them to safely rescue injured soldiers. When the fighting finally stopped, the result was clear. The Naro-Fominsk depot was destroyed, along with its missile supplies. This loss will seriously harm Russia's supply lines and reduce its ability to launch long-range attacks. The successful attack raises a major question. If such an important base could be destroyed, what other Russian locations are actually safe? Amid the smoke and ruins, Ukrainian medics were seen carrying injured Russian soldiers to safety.